Welcome to the second half of the course. This part is about computational physics, in particular simulation and modeling. So I am Associate Professor Rajiv Rahman. I'll be your lecturer for this part of the course. And here's my email and phone number. You can contact me with questions anytime. And the course resources would be put in Moodle as I go on. And for administrative matters, you can contact Zofia Kroksik. And we will also try to arrange some online discussion sessions through Zoom. So the objective of this part of the course is to introduce you to tools and techniques in computational physics. In most of your physics courses so far, you have dealt with toy problems, very simple analytic problems. But when you have to solve real world problems in physics, those analytic tools are often not very useful and you need detailed numerical techniques. Now, you have already learned a few numerical techniques in the first half of the course, but those were mainly related to the lab experiments that you were doing. They taught you how to analyze data, manipulate experimental data that you obtain out of the lab, plot them, all these things. But over here, we will introduce you to simulation and modeling techniques. And often in real world problems, you have to use intensive computing resources. Many of these problems are not solvable on single processors. So sometimes you need to look at high performance computing, that is how to use a supercomputer, parallelize your code, and manipulate large amounts of data. And we will also introduce you to some new techniques that people are using these days, not only in physics, but many other fields, computational science, computational finance, or mathematics, and many other fields. And these involve function approximation techniques such as machine learning, and also some optimization problems, optimization techniques. So we will try to give you a brief introduction to all these things and show you how you can apply these methods to solve real-world physics problems. And there are a few topics that we will try to cover in these 4 weeks. And the first topic will be on differential equations. I will show you some types of differential equations that you will encounter in various fields of physics, such as in electrostatics, thermodynamics, or condensed matter physics. And there are various types of differential equations, nonlinear differential equations, coupled differential equations, which we will discuss. And then the second topic will be on eigenvalue problems. These emerge in many areas of physics, but in particular, we will look at the Schrodinger equation, which appears in quantum mechanics, and we will show you how to solve simple spin problems. And then in the third topic, we will look at some simulations of particle flow in physics based on Monte Carlo simulations. So if you have electrons flowing in a device, how to model that, or fundamental particles accelerating in particle physics, how to simulate them. And then we will briefly talk about high performance computing, how you can use large computing resources to make your code faster, run faster, and also handle large amounts of data. Then we will discuss machine learning techniques such as neural networks and reinforcement learning, and also show you how to use different algorithms to optimize a problem. For example, such as genetic algorithm, simulated annealing, this type of techniques. And then if we get enough time, we will try to have a guest lecture about quantum measurements. Quantum mechanics, and in particular quantum computing, is becoming very important these days. And how do quantum measurements differ from classical mechanics? That's a topic that we will briefly discuss, and we will try to invite a guest lecture from the field of quantum computing to deliver this lecture. So let us now discuss several types of differential equations that you encounter frequently in physics. One of the most common equations is the Poisson equation. This has the form that is shown here, del square V equals minus rho over epsilon. So rho is the charge density, epsilon is the dielectric constant, and V is the electrostatic potential. So if you are given the charge density over a domain such as this, such as the picture shown in this slide, the uneven distribution of positive and negative charges. So you can describe them through a charge density, rho r, a charge density that varies in position. And if you are given this charge density as an input, how can you solve the electrostatic potential of this domain? That is electrostatic potential as a function of position. And this can be in 1D, 2D, or 3D defined over the x, y, and z coordinates. And notice the del square operator here in this equation on the left hand side. So this del square equation operator is also called the Laplacian, and it is just the second derivative of the function with respect to each of the coordinates. So in 1D, this has the form, the second derivative of the potential with respect to x, for example. And one special case of the Poisson equation is the Laplace equation. This simply means that you set the charge density to 0, and so you just solve del square V equals 0. Okay, so here we show another type of differential equation that arises frequently. This is the heat equation, and I have shown a 2D version of this equation here. On the left hand side, you have the derivative of temperature with time, how the temperature of an object is changing with time. And on the right hand side, you have two terms. The first term is again the Laplacian in 2D. Temperature is the variable that you are solving for, and alpha is the thermal expansion coefficient. And then you have another term called Q. This is the heat generation rate. And in this picture here, you can get a physical interpretation of this equation. So if you are heating one end of this wire, so this is a circular wire, for example, and if suppose you are heating one end of the wire with a heater, then this equation tells you how the temperature of this wire varies over the length or the volume of this wire, and how the temperature is also changing with time. So you can see in the picture, the right hand side is hotter, hotter than the left hand side, the left side of the wire, because you are heating the right side. And so this type of equation, the equation that is shown here, also arises in other branches of physics. And one example is in statistical mechanics. So for example, how electrons are flowing in a material can be modeled also using a similar type of device equation. But you don't have temperature in that case. You have some other variable, for example, the charge density of the electrons, how that varies in time and space. A similar form of equation can describe that. So another example of a differential equation arises in quantum mechanics. This is the Schrödinger equation, the time-independent Schrödinger equation, for example. And this is shown here in this equation. So the first term, minus h bar square 2m del square psi, just gives you the kinetic energy of a particle. And the next term, v psi, gives you the potential energy, and this is equal to the total energy E psi. So psi here is called the wave function, because in quantum mechanics, you treat every particle as a wave, not just a single particle. And this potential and the wave function are defined again over the special coordinates x, y, and z. And an example problem you have already encountered in your earlier courses is the particle in a box problem in quantum mechanics. So you have a potential barrier that goes to infinity outside some domain. The domain goes from 0 to L. This is the length of the box. and the potential inside this domain is 0. But if you are outside the domain, then the potential goes to infinity. So if you have a particle, it is trapped inside this potential well. And the Schrodinger equation is an eigenvalue problem, and we will solve this type of equation in the second topic next week. But the solution gives us discrete energy levels. So there are not all possible values of the total energy E are possible. Only certain values are possible, and 3 values are shown here with a label of n. N equals 1, n equals 2, and n equals 3. And each one has a different wave function associated with it. So the solution of this type of differential equation gives you these energy states and the wave functions. And if you go beyond the particle in a box problem, you can solve all kinds of problems with this type of Schrodinger equation. For example, instead of a potential well, you can have a 1 over r potential that describes the potential of an atom such as hydrogen. And then you get the atomic orbitals, s, p, d, f orbitals, which you have learned about in chemistry. And they assume different types of shapes, some of which are shown in this figure. So let us now go to another differential equation. So you have already encountered Maxwell's equation, I assume, in your electromagnetics courses. And this tells you how the electric field and the magnetic fields change in time and space, basically. So 2 equations are shown here, one in terms of the electric field and the other one for the magnetic field. And if you solve these equations, for example, in particular structures, sometimes called waveguides, which are a kind of small wires, and you can have an electromagnetic wave propagating through these wires, and they trace out different functional forms of the electric and magnetic fields, some of which are shown in this figure. You can see the electric field distribution in the first row of this table, and the magnetic field distribution in the second row. And you can see that they trace out different patterns, and again they occur in different modes. The modes are kind of equivalent to the different eigenenergies that we get in Schrodinger equation, but this is for optics or photonics. But again, this is another example of a differential equation. In this case, the differential equation involves a derivative over time and also derivatives over space.